Well, hello, everybody. This is Larry from the Blue Collar Nation podcast. I'm here with my noteworthy business partner, the tech whisperer, Mr. Eric Sprague. What's happening, Eric?
So is that I'm noteworthy in the sense that you have to write reminder notes for me, or it means that
I
I'm
don't know. It
like
says
famous?
noteworthy definition: interesting, significant, and unusual.
You're so the emphasis is on unusual, I'm assuming for you.
Unusual. No, you're interesting and significant. I'll give you that all day long.
Okay, well, I
But I've got to
appreciate
come
that.
up with something
Yeah,
entertaining.
yeah, yeah. No. If you say nice things about me, it doesn't really work.
No, not at all. And that sometimes, well, no, I shouldn't say it. I'm
And you
struggling.
don't even
All right.
mean them.
Anyway,
So
okay, cool. We got a short podcast here today, and we're going to bring a real quick sponsor advertising. So let's roll it in. All right, so we got a killer podcast today, don't we, Eric?
yeah, we're gonna talk about
Just
local.
you and me. Isn't this nice?
It is. We've been getting feedback from people that they want to just hear you and I more often. I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why,
I
but
know. Those
sometimes they just want to hear us. And that's nice. You know, I we
never sure
had
how to take that. It's always like, huh? Or
well, no,
sometimes
I
they say,
mean, I
you
think
need to have more guests, more
well,
often.
yeah, talk
I
less.
can't
But no,
talk.
we had the greatest, to me anyway, the greatest compliment this podcast has ever had. And yeah, we get a lot of compliments, which I'm grateful for. But we
Where
were
was
at a
at the
trade
show
show.
this last week?
Yeah, we were at a
Yeah,
trade show, and we saw Answer Force, which is we've had Mandy on the show. They're
yeah.
amazing, right? And they do CSR work for restoration companies. And you introduced me to the fine ladies in the booth
Anna
and Allison,
and
and
Allison. I'll
and
get it down.
they were like, "Yeah, we listen all the time." I was like, "Oh, that's nice." They're like, "No. Our entire company listens all the time." And I was like, "Excuse me?" They use our podcast as part of their they require every CSR to do education 30 minutes a day so that they know the industry better. And one of the things that they use is they require them to listen to our podcast to get all the lingo and all the terms and learn about the industry as a whole. I was so flattered by that, dude. I was blown away. And I was
Yeah,
also
no,
super impressed that every single CSR is required to do 30 minutes of education a day. Like, I think that says a lot about their company.
no, and that's a big
And
deal.
we're
And
not
it's
getting
hard
paid. This is
to,
not an ad. This is, it's just,
yeah.
it
Well, it's
was,
hard to get your people motivated sometimes to do things that are out of the box. I mean, you tried for years to get people to educate themselves outside of the
yeah,
workplace
yeah. Well, it's
about the workplace.
not everybody is a self starter that way, right? So we have to help them along that journey. All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
we have a cool topic. It's something Larry and I are pretty passionate about. And, Larry and I travel all around the country, going to all kinds of trade shows and conventions and conferences. And, there's a ton of digital marketing training going on, right? And that's awesome, right? Everybody needs to be digitally marketing. It's important. But what we don't hear as much about is that kind of local boots on the ground, knocking on doors, making relationships, marketing that still builds service businesses and home service businesses. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean you don't take time, energy, and resource and put it into digital. Of course you do. You have to. But when you put those two things together, that's an unstoppable force. And what we hear is a lot of companies are kind of missing the boat on some of the things that they could be doing locally to really supercharge their companies. And look, we kind of came in before digital was the big thing. So I, Larry, we're not experts at much, but I think we could probably say that we're experts at this because we had to learn the hard way and we put the work in.
Well, we
So
did it for years. We put the hours in. I mean, at least
yeah.
10,000 hours towards local marketing,
Oh, more than that.
boots to the ground. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
relationship marketing just went a long way, and I'm looking forward to getting into this deep. Go ahead. You want to
so
run with your
well, I was
lists?
going to say, I made a list. I just sat down
It's
and
quite
kind of
noteworthy
it's a
list. Come on, run
noteworthy
along with it.
list. I made a list of just a lot of the things that we did, and I kind of wanted to write. I know we don't have a lot of time today. I want to rifle through it and just talk real quick about what we did, why we did it, and how. So the first thing, I'm going to hit you up with this because this was your superpower. It's going door to door, right?
You
if you
know,
want referral sources, you got to go meet people.
I had an amazing conversation the other day with a guy because I'm an extrovert, high I. I don't mind going door to door and knocking on doors, bringing them, to businesses, bringing them some type of food, and it works well. And I could go talk about that all day long. But there's so many people out there that are not into that. They're like, no way, I just can't do it.
Dude,
And
I
I had a
used to
great
do it. I didn't
conversation.
like it either.
Yeah, but most introverts won't even take that step towards it. And that's what I was dealing with the
Well,
other
I
day,
wanted
as
to
you
be
know,
successful more than I wanted to be comfortable.
well, everybody isn't that way, and you're
Yeah,
not sure
no, I
what
know.
to do. So somebody like you needs to get stepped. You got to get motivated, which what I did with one of our clients. And I said, the
Sure.
intentionalness of following a system, going door to door is going to be extremely successful for you. And phrasing it that way, he's like, okay. He goes, what do I do? And I had an exact system, much like a system like you have. I have less of a system. I just go in and make friends. You have a system exactly what to say and do.
Yeah.
And once you have that system down, anybody can do it. A guy like me that's extroverted is going to follow it more loosely than another
Yeah.
introverted guy that's
Well, I
going to
had to
guy
build
or
the
girl.
system for me. I had to have the system to feel confident enough to go do it. Right. Like I had to practice
Exactly.
and I needed this is what I'm going to do. And I actually used to go back out in my truck and write down, like, oh, when I said this, it didn't seem to work well. But when I say this, they seem to light up. Right. And over time, I would build that system. And the point I think you're trying to make is no matter if you're introverted or extroverted, there's a way to do this to make you more comfortable.
Exactly. And that's what I communicated this weekend fairly well without you in here ad libbing for me, which was quite good. I did it on my own. Communicating
The
it worked
training
really
wheels
well.
came off.
Exactly. So yeah, going door to door is very important. I mean, from business to
So
business.
give
Find your
everybody
referral
a little
sources and
taste,
go.
Larry. Give everybody a little taste of like how you and your team did it.
Well, it would be a whole process and planning that you had to be consistent at. I mean, it started with getting up in the morning, wearing specific clothes and dressing for meeting people all day long and getting all your supplies ready for the day, which is just different than being in the field. I mean, you got to get gifts that you're going to give them, you got to get pamphlets, you got to get all your accoutrements you're going to give away, and then you got to plan your route and where you're going and when you're going to start and when you're going to get there and when you're going to follow up with these people. And it gets quite intricate. And then once you figure out where you're going, 1 through 5, and it's all mapped out, or till 10, whatever, how many stops you're going to make, this is what you're going to say when you go and you see them. Where are the names written down of the people that, if you've been there before, what do they like to talk about? What have you talked about with them in the past? Have you done business with them? And there's so many steps to figure out where you are before you get in there. So you're prepared, not to intimidate anybody. There's a lot to do, but you just have to be on your game. You're not just popping in, dropping off food and getting
Well,
work
then you're
out of
just
it.
a glorified candy bag dropper, and that's never going to get you any business.
You have to know who you're looking for. You have to know what their business is. And if you're referring them at all, you have to know what they specialize in so that you can connect with them on their level. Because you can't just go in saying what you do. You got to say, hey, how's your business? If it's an HVAC, plumbing, insurance company you're going into, you got to walk their walk a little bit. I
Well,
mean,
and
we come from a
you know
restoration world.
this. I mean, I do the business development rep training videos, and a lot of what I use is really kind of a mix of what you did and what I did because we're different. So I try to mix them together. And for me, one of the key elements, and I think the introverts kind of succeed, not succeed, excel at this more, is really doing your research to know all about the company that you're going to go knock on their door. Because the more that you know, the better chance that A, you can speak intelligently, but B, you also know what they need and how you can fill that need. If you just go randomly shotgunning doors, what's that going to do?
And you have to be able to talk to them about them because they're not just going to want to talk about you. And that
Yeah.
gets dull for your clients. And it's a
Okay.
science. And let's
Yeah.
move on because we'll be stuck on this all day
Well,
long.
I think we actually should do a podcast, you and I, a whole hour just on this and like take how you did it and how I did it and like compare and contrast. I think that would be a good show. Okay.
That's a good idea.
Chambers and civic groups like Kiwanis,
Go
Rotary.
hang on a second. No, go back to host your own events because when you host events,
That's number 3, Mr. High Eye.
oh, I was looking at the wrong list here. All right, cool. We're good. All right, I'll let you keep going there. Go ahead, Eric.
Thanks.
That was quite noteworthy.
I have a strategy. Yeah, I mean, another thing is chambers of commerce and civic groups. We built our business on those things, right? I mean, we started our service business at the chamber of commerce, the local chamber. You know, you got to find a way to go meet people. That's the fastest way, don't you think? To be
Yeah,
part of the
because you
business
have people
community.
going there. And you got to find the chamber that works the best
Yeah.
and that's most functional where they're willing to refer people back and forth because you can find a smaller chamber with 20 people that show up but everybody refers themselves and you find another chamber with 100 people that show up and do they show up once a month or is it
Yeah.
once a week? But if those 100 people chamber doesn't refer anybody, what's the use of that? You got to,
Well, and it's
and it's not going
incumbent
to happen
upon
overnight too.
it's
You got to
incumbent
explain that.
upon you to do the work, right? So many people join a chamber and pay their $400 or whatever it is, and then don't do shit. They don't do anything, and they go, chambers don't work. Chambers, you'll get out of it what you put into it.
It's just like anything
It's
else.
like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Larry
we
and
used to get that
I.
all the time. I joined a chamber. That didn't work. Oh,
Well, that's
did
why
you
I
ever
brought
go?
that up. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to go to the meetings. You become an ambassador. Become a greeter at all the ribbon cuttings. Like, I mean, yeah, it's time and effort, but marketing is a time and effort thing, right?
Yeah.
Larry, just so everybody's clear, Larry was like the king of local chambers for us. I mean, he was on the board of the chamber in our town. He was active in like 3 to 4 other chambers, and we worked
Chamber
those
whore.
chamber
That's
whore.
what
Yeah.
somebody brought that up one day because some of us
You're like,
remember there's only
Larry,
5 or
you're a
6 of them.
chamber whore. You're like, damn right, it brings the money in. Of course I am.
Yeah.
Well,
Whatever it takes.
aren't we all? Right. And
Well,
then
you just go, you do the giver's game thing. The B&I taught us a lot on what to do in the chambers. And,
yeah,
the
and look,
B&I groups were great too.
a word to the wise. Don't be the person at the chamber that just goes and pitches everybody indiscriminately on what you do. Like nobody
Chirps.
wants that. Don't say that. Yeah, so we have one company in mind that was
Yeah. So when you're talking to people, you
yeah,
talk about what
be of
ask them questions.
be of
Yeah.
service first. If you do that, people will like you more, and over time they'll get to you. Right? Is that good advice, Larry?
No, I agree personally. You don't want to be a
That's
me
what you did.
monster.
You never
Yeah.
were a me monster there. Yeah. Right.
Can't be a me
Another thing
monster.
is civic groups. Like I was a Kiwanis member. You were in a local business group. We were both BNI
Yep.
members at different
Yeah.
times.
There was
Yeah,
Rotary that people were in, and there was different boards you can do locally. I was in the Foothill Family Shelter Board.
yeah.
Just doing things locally to be of service
Well,
goes
because
a
if
long
you're
way.
of service, you're part of the community, and if you're part of the community, you will naturally grow just by
Yep.
being of service. All right,
Yeah.
I know you're dying to get to this because this is your thing.
Hosting your own events. This was it goes to one with hand in hand with door to door, because when you're going to have an event, if you drop off a information at when you're going door to door and you have a conversation about your event, there's more often people are going to show up. But showing up, we would have plumbing events at plumbing shops, and that worked really well. We had a trailer, or we'd pull up at a property management company and we feed 50 people. And it would go a long way. And then the drinking night, once a week, every Wednesday night, I just met at a brewery. And that was significant for myself and many other people. Got a lot of business.
Well, let's break those down real quick. And obviously, because of time, we may not get through all of these, and we could always run a part 2 of this. But let's talk about the barbecue because, let's talk about how we use that. So Larry and I built a barbecue trailer where we could cook carne asada and all the stuff. And we basically turned into a catering company almost, right? And we would go, in our world, we marketed to plumbers. So Larry would go and make relationships with plumbing supply houses and allow us to bring the barbecue in. And we would put on a show for the plumbers. And that was our farming. That's how we're going to get business cards. That's how we're going to get meeting people in the industry. And then, we would sit down and break bread with them. Right? It's not the same thing as when they see you cooking the food and you're serving them. It's not the same as you bought a 12-foot Subway sandwich and you cut a piece. Right? There's something to be
Yeah.
said for going the extra mile, because I don't know, dude, it's weird. There's something primal about it. If you cook food for somebody and give that to them, they form a closer bond with you than you just bought something. Do you think I'm off base on that?
No, I told you were cooking on the barbecue one day. You're really getting into the cooking. You're like, really? I'm like, no, go sit and eat with them. You're like, no, I got to cook. I'm like, no, we got guys here to cook. Oh,
Yeah, well,
and you weren't into sitting down with them
it's
necessarily.
you know what it is. I'm a taskmaster, and I was just like, we got to get this much, meat out and the whole thing. And yeah, I was missing the big picture. It's like, I'm just like, I'm trying to serve in my way of service is doing things for people, fixing problems, right? So in my
So we're at a barbecue one time, and there was a whole bunch of plumbers there. There was a
here we
big bowl
go.
of chips, and we had tongs for the chips because these plumbers, they got hands that are just gnarly looking. They're all
Well, they got
shredded up in
hands
their
that
head.
were just in a dirty toilet 10 minutes earlier.
So all these guys kept taking their hands and pulling the chips out. So Eric stuck his hand in to eat a chip, and I slapped the chip out of his hand quite aggressively,
Yeah,
so he
Larry's
wouldn't
like,
eat it.
don't eat those chips.
And he's just about to punch me in the face, and I'm like, whoa, 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 trust me, dude. And I couldn't say it because there was three guys right in front of us that were eating the chips with their hands that had these nastiest hands in the whole world. Nothing again. I mean, the plumbing trade, these guys were great. Don't get me wrong,
Oh yeah, they're
but
working
I
it
didn't want
hard,
to
man.
share their
Chips out
fingers.
of the bowl. Yeah, I got it. All right, hold on. While we're that, so we were doing a breakfast at a plumbing shop that gave us a lot of work, and they had quite a few guys, and we were doing like bacon, eggs, and pancakes. So we had Ashley was making pancakes. I'm cooking bacon, and I've got all these like scrambled eggs in a huge bowl, and we're behind. And Larry's grinding me. It's like they want eggs, and I'm just
I
cooking
want the
as
food.
much bacon as I can for these guys. So I literally had like 2 inches of bacon grease in this huge like wok. And Larry's like, we need eggs. And I was like, screw it. And I just dumped all of the eggs into that 2 inches of bacon grease. And I'm like, they're plumbers. They don't care. Right? So it's cooking this up, and I'm like feeling guilty, like I'm giving everybody a heart attack. Right. And then I just gave them to you, and you came back and you're like, what did you do with the eggs? Because everybody's raving about them. I was like, I cooked them in 2 inches of bacon grease, dude. And
Yep.
Larry and I try to be health conscious, and Larry's like, "You're gonna kill everybody," and it's like, I don't think they care, dude.
Well, especially this plumbing shop. These
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
ate like machines. They
they're
ate
living
so
on
much junk.
Marlboro Reds and Monsters. They're gonna be
Oh
a
no, they were eating a lot of junk at this place. Great guys,
yeah.
but
All
all
right,
right. Anyway, we're tangenting
yeah.
again.
Well, come on,
All
that's
right, pick
fun.
one or two more things.
All right. I want to talk about emails. Right. I know that's digital, but I mean, you're creating a list as you grow your company. You have a client list,
And that's the
and
biggest thing. Please collect email addresses from your clients so you can stay in touch with
uh,
them. It's
Larry
so
would
important.
lose his fucking mind when our guys wouldn't get an email address. Like if you want to make Larry grumpy, Larry'd come in and be like, on the sheet that they bring back, he'd be like, "Where's their email address?" And the tech would be like, I didn't get it." And Larry'd be like, "What? Get an email?"
Call them right now and get it.
Yeah,
What do you
Larry'd
mean
be like,
call them?
"Call him right now. I need that
Call them
email."
up.
And the
I
reason
said,
being, and Larry was absolutely right. Maybe the approach could have been smoothed out a little bit, but Larry was right. If we want to do business with these people and have lifetime clients, we need to market to them. So,
yeah,
our
stay in
whole
touch
thing
with them.
was, what was it, Larry? 5 a.m. Tuesday morning, every week till they buy or die. Like we never missed. We sent in some sort of email to our client list every single week. And look, it wasn't like sales emails. We would do
It's about
like,
what's going on.
what's
Yeah.
going on? Like something Larry and I, like an event we went to where we would do employee bios, where we'd have a picture of an employee and tell a little bit about their personal life, or, just something from a chamber meeting, right? And what's happening is they feel like they know us more, than just we're the local guys who come clean their carpet or whatever. And, when they're getting that email with our phone number and our email address every single week, when it is time to do work, they know right where to find us.
Yep.
They're
It
engaged
made a
with
big
us.
difference. Yeah. And
Please,
I,
please email your client list every week and
yeah.
update your
And
list
you
with
don't
every
have to
new
do anything
job.
crazy. Sometimes you say, hello, this is what we're doing, and just boom, get something out to them. So it's top of mind for them.
Yeah.
Do the referral awards program, whatever you got, just find something, send it out, and it
Give
goes
them
great.
a pie
Holidays come up. I mean,
recipe,
it's bada bing.
whatever.
Yep.
All right.
Long
I
way.
know we're at the end of our line. We're gonna have to do a part 2 on this because we're only gonna make it about halfway through. But Larry, if you look at the bottom of this thing, I wrote a note to us that, we used to tell each other all the time that basically consistency beats all other things. That
Yep.
if we're
Any marketing.
consistent in marketing is a habit, it's not an event. I don't know who said that, but I stole that from somebody. And we live that, one of the things that, look, we were bad at a lot of things, but we were good at a lot of things. And one of the things we were good at was what we're talking about today. And I just feel that, too many companies are spending too much money and relying too heavily on a lot of digital formats, where if they implemented some of these things in addition to their digital formats, I think they'd have a safer way to grow their business.
Yeah. And then, like you were saying, the people that don't want to get out there and see people, you just make a system of it, and it's relatively easy because you have a system and you're just following not exactly a script, but a whole process.
Well,
That's
the
a better
thing
way of
is,
phrasing it.
real quick, before we're done, for the people who are more like me and not like Larry, like be a little easier on yourself. Go do one. One's better than none, right? Okay, I
Yeah.
survived that. Great. Next day I do 2, right? Like ease yourself into it. I have a client that he's like, it really wears me out because I'm an introvert. I'm like, great. Do a few calls at the end of every day. And then when you're done, you get to go home. Like do whatever you have to do to make it happen is what I'm really saying. So, all right,
Exactly.
Larry's in Hope, Arkansas, home of Bill Clinton, and they're about to kick him out of the library. So we're gonna sign off. Larry's up in
Everybody have a
Maryland.
great day.
All right,
We'll see you.
see ya.